We ready to do this? We ready to crap on Snow White like everybody else did? We ready to talk about this and everything surrounding it? Let's get into it, baby. Let's get into it. All right. Hope your weekend, weekday, whatever it is, whenever you're watching this, was good. Um, had a quiet weekend, which is always good. Just basically washing pollen off a car. 3 cars, actually. Down here in the south, we have 2 seasons, fall and then pollen. So that's what we have now. But we're here to talk about Snow White. I'm not going to necessarily dog it like like most people do in social media, and especially on YouTube. I, for one, have not seen the movie. I really don't care to see it. I honestly I haven't seen any of the Disney live action remakes. I grew up with the cartoons, especially of the '90s. I remember going to the theater and seeing, I think it was Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and Lion King, um, all in the consecutive years or year between, whatever it was. Um, And then when they went to the computer animated stuff, I took my little sister to see a bunch of those in the early 2000s, but I really haven't had the urge to see any of these live action remakes, which, I mean, I don't have anything against it. I mean, it's just the way Hollywood is. If they want to remake cartoon movies like that, that's fine, but man, did they just completely miss on this swing. Holy crap. And they knew that they were in danger. I mean, they knew that this movie was in danger for a while. For those of you that don't remember, probably about 2.5 years ago, the controversy started with somebody who wasn't even in the movie. Um, Peter Dinklage, as you guys know, the great actor, good actor, he's a dwarf from um, Game of Thrones. Was in the movie Elf. Has been in a few other movies. Was in the movie Tiptoes. If you haven't seen that, that's a hoot. But anyways, he gave a interview on a podcast or on a radio show somewhere. I can't remember what it was, back in 2023, and brought up about how Disney was remaking Snow White, and I guess they did a call for maybe not a call, but they were going to do about the Seven Dwarfs. And Peter Dinklage went on this rant about just how messed up it was, how inappropriate it was that they're still doing a story with seven dwarfs. Here we are in 2023, and basically just damned any future jobs for dwarfs or little people in any movie for like the next 10 years. Just basically destroyed it because he came out saying how horrible it was. And I mean, he himself hasn't really had, that I can think of, that many great offers or movies in the last 2 years since he said what he said. He's going to be in a Toxic Avengers movie, which has been in development, has been just sitting around, I think, for 2 years as well. So, oof. But anyways, so it started off with that controversy. And I remember, and if you don't know, Disney was actually going to have like actual size people as the dwarfs, and they were going to be like multi-diversal. The You're going to have black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. And when that picture leaked out, people freaked out, as we do these days, because everybody, the Bible these days is social media, is Twitter. So whenever something happens on there, people live, drink, eat, and pray to the almighty social media gods. So everybody freaked out, which caused Disney to then freak out, which then caused them to do reshoots of the movie to then put CGI characters in because of the outcry. And then you had the star, Rachel Zelger, I think her name is. gave interviews at D23 about how this movie was going to be different than the original 1937 cartoon, which was based on I believe, an old German tale called Snowdrop, if I recollect correct. If I'm wrong, you can let me know. Um, and she basically stated that they were going to update the story because the prince was a stalker. Prince Charming was a is it Prince Charming that's in there? One of the princes. I don't know. Does he have so many princes and they all look alike? Basic white guy. Um, and Yeah, made him out to be a stalker and a creep, and just basically crapped on the Snow White and Snowdrop story, and said that that it was going to be about a strong, independent woman who is a fighter. Okay, and that set people off as you would expect, for many reasons. Um, so they made that version, which look, if you're going to make that version, that's fine. You had Snow White and the Huntsman that was done about 10 years ago or so. But that was done by a different studio. It wasn't done by Disney. And that's where the problem is. With Disney doing it, you can't change the baseline of the story or too much of the story. You can change a few things here and there, but you got to kind of stick to the story because it is a Disney story. If it would have been another studio that did this, I don't think the outcry would have been that bad because it's their take of the story. But with it being Disney, I mean, you could just tell that movie was going to bomb from that point on. So here were the numbers of this weekend's box office. U.S. Canada was only 43 million. UK was 5. Mexico 4. Italy 4. France 3. Spain 2. Brazil 2. And so on and so on. I think they said it made around what $80 million dollars at the box office. Um, and the movie cost, around 207, 300 million, whatever it was. Yeah, and she did this weird thing about talking about the old, um, man, I mean, she really, okay, I don't think this just has
No longer 1937.
She's not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So we didn't do that this time. I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years. The cartoon was
So she watched it when she was 2.
25 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of.
It's kind of shocking that a movie from 85 years ago would be severely dated. She is going to have a significant shock if she lives another 30 years and people look at her movies and go, Jesus, they were significantly dated. That I'll speak on that in a minute.
Women being in roles of power. No longer 1937.
Okay, so that was a few of the interviews that really started to torpedo this movie. First off, man, Disney should have hired a representative, like a PR rep, to just be around and attached to her hip 24/7 while they're making this movie and even after. Because, damn, I mean, she's young, and she makes weird faces when she talks, whatever. I mean, she's just young. I made weird faces when I was young and talked and whatever. And these days, everything is tweeted and retweeted and sent out on a scale that you could have never thought of back when I was a kid, even if we could have even thought about that. But man, they should have. The minute at that expo D23, she said that about the prince being a stalker and all that stuff. Is the minute Disney should have called her into the office and said, "Listen, It's great you have your personal beliefs. It's great you have your view of the world that you want to talk about, but we're not going to do that. And from now on, this is Cindy, and she is going to be attached to your hip 24/7. You will not hit send on a tweet. You will not broadcast on a stream or a video. You will not talk to an interviewer. You will not talk to a radio station. You will not do whatever. You will not change your clothes until she gives you the thumbs up on it or until she gives you the go ahead. Because Jesus, I mean, look, man, young people, everyone's been young and we just run our mouths like there's no tomorrow at times. Maybe that's it with this generation, there's no repercussion. And so they just keep going when they probably shouldn't. But man, I mean, at some point in your head, you have to think to yourself, this isn't the best place to be saying this or the best time to be talking about this. And it should be, oh yeah, we got a great story. We changed a little bit of it. There's going to be, a little bit of things that we did differently, but it's going to stay close to true to the storyline. And we think the kids of today will love it. That's all you had to say. But when you start diving into this, calling the prince a stalker, saying it's weird, saying the original movie is dated, and just making it like this weird feminist movie, which, I mean, you can be upset about that original making women look bad, but again, it was based on a fairy tale that was written in what, like the 1200s, 1300s, whenever it was. I could be wrong with that date. And yeah, I mean, unfortunately, women were not seen as being more than just objects at that time. And I mean, it is what it is. If you want to remake a movie like Snow White and do it like that, why not update it to a movie, base it in 2023 and update it that way? I think people would have understood that and gone to see that more instead of having the same time period that the original Snow White movie was done in, and then trying to make it work with views of today. I mean, it's almost like The Simpsons, man. The Simpsons have been on for 35 years, almost 40, and you watch it now and they just seem out of place. And it's because they're trying to do things in today's world that just does not work for The Simpsons. The Simpsons is and was and will always be a 90s cartoon. And the minute that they continued to do where you have Bart with smartphones and Homer trying to learn smartphones was the minute that show died. If they would have kept the timeline in the 90s or early 2000s, The Simpsons still might be somewhat funny. But it is what it is. And I know some people will say, well, you got to run a cartoon like that, like it's part of today's culture. I get that. That would be if it was like Rick and Morty, if it was made in the last 10 or 15 years. When you have a cartoon or a storyline that was made, 30, 40, 80 something years ago, you can't try to reinvent it by doing the same timeline in it and then updating it to a modern viewpoint. It's not going to work. People, it's not going to translate to people, especially with they're going to view it as how they saw it when they were a kid or when they were a certain age, 20, 30, 40 years ago. And now you're shoving new age stuff in their face, but the movie's still based, in the time period that the original one was. It doesn't make any sense. It's just confusing and lost. So, anyways, Disney definitely should have slapped her up and told her just to shut up and be quiet. Honestly, I mean, you hate to see it for an actress that young, and maybe she will wisen up, I guess, or smarten up a little bit. Still keep her views. That's fine. Have your views. Say what you want. Feel you want to say, but also understand that there are times to talk about those views and there are times not to, and there are times when just a quick yes or no or a short answer is perfectly fine instead of going on a 5 minute rant, basically torpedoing your own movie before it was even made, before it's even made. Because right now studios have to be looking at this and going, we can't hire her. She's radioactive because she's just going to get up there and shit on everything, especially if she doesn't like it. She's just going to crap on everything. And it might be one of those things that studios that work with her in the future, they might just wrap her up and say, this is how it's going to be. We don't need you to say anything. Wait until after the movie is out 2 weeks before you want to give, your personal opinions about stuff. Because, man, she just killed it. And not in a good way. Now, I saw some people, of course, you have all the individuals that get upset about the whole DEI thing and that she's a Latina, Hispanic individual and was put in the place of Snow White. And normally, man, those circumstances are weird because you can, in certain storylines or when you get creative with it, you can put different people of race in those situations. It does work. But in this situation, again, and I saw the individuals that were firing back, saying, "Oh, heaven forbid that just a white person is always in a movie and this and that." But again, this is a story that was a fairy tale out of old Eastern Europe. Um, they were all white, black haired or blonde and blue eyed and whatever. That's just that's the culture. And if you're gonna get upset about white people doing cultural appropriation on your music or on your way of life, your hairstyle, whatever, you can't come back and say that white people should be fine when they place a person of color or a person of a different sex in a spot that's meant for, or that was the story was originally about a white woman or a white man. It's not white supremacy. It's just that's the storyline from that time period that was passed down. You didn't have a mass migration, a mass immigration of people in those days. Everybody just was in their own countries. You had some across the larger cities around borders, bodies of water where that, you had a trade and whatnot going on. But for a lot of these blocked countries, they didn't really see a person of color maybe for their lifetime. And so that's what their stories were about. It was about what they knew. So if you're going to get upset about somebody doing a cultural appropriation of your stuff, you kind of got to take a back step when you're telling somebody of a story that's a German story, telling them you got to get over replacing a white person with a person of color, because that's cultural appropriation. That's reverse cultural appropriation. Hit them with the reverse Uno. But yeah, so again, to me, it's not a big deal that she was Snow White. That I don't get into that. It's whatever. But I do understand how some people are. I mean, I am of German descent, so I understand how like some Germans and people of that Eastern European bloc would be upset by that. Um, um,
Who hates when I win.
oh yeah, this is her
The
rants.
winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Well, they didn't for this one. And yeah, I don't get, this is the other thing I get with this generation is they have to record every emotion that they have and post it on the internet. Like this right here, you can obviously tell she was emotionally unstable at this point. She was in an emotional spot, and instead of just God, this younger generation just does not know how to be by themselves and how to resolve their own feelings. They like when they're by themselves and they're feeling low, they have to record it or they have to um stream and do this stuff. And I don't get that. And I know there's somebody sitting there right now going, "But dude, you're doing a podcast and you're talking about your emotions." I get that, and you got a good point, but at the same time, it's different. I'm not going to be on here crying, or I'm not going to be on here, showing my tots or showing my feet or explaining how somebody driving during the day pissed me off. It's just you resolve that yourself. And this here, she's an actress. Why even do this? Why even waste your time doing this? Because this is what happens. Then you get caught with putting this crap out there, and people come and use it against you. well, they'll still line up and see me because she's a winner. And now you got them throwing it back in her face, going, she's delusional, she's narcissistic, and it's just, you're putting too much just nonsense on you, man. I mean, no one needs to care how you feel 24/7, you know, 48 hours, 72 hours a day. It's just, it's not needed. I mean, the other thing I saw too was about, I think it was about Gail, Gadot. I know I said her name wrong, but there was a lot. I mean, this movie just took it from both sides. There's Peter Dinklage. There's that's what I was talking about earlier. But you had a bunch of people on the other side of the line that weren't going to go see it because Gail is a former IDF um, um, defense, which in Israel you have to serve. I think it's 4 6 years, whatever it is. You have to serve. They it is part of that society that you cannot avoid it unless I guess you have a lot of money and pay yourself, but you have to serve. So she had to serve 4 years. So with everything that's going, yeah, see here you go, boycott Zionism. With everything that's going on, you not only have one side protesting it because of what Rachel had been doing and saying and how she views the world, but you then had the other side also wanting to boycott it because Gadot was in the IDF. So Disney really nailed it when it came to finding the actresses for this movie. I mean, whoever was the casting director for this movie had to have been sitting there either just, oh, we got to get these two. I mean, we got to get both of them. They'll both do it. They'll both do really well. Or just had no clue, did no background checks on any of these individuals. I mean, just really, really bad casting. And not the fact, too, that, I mean, the evil queen is supposed to be jealous of Snow White's looks, which is cruel to say, again, um, to Rachel because she's still young. I mean, and she's an attractive girl, attractive woman. Um, but it is hard because Gadot, I think, used to be a model, if I'm not mistaken. And it's hard to have her being jealous of the young girl's look. So, I mean, again, just horrible casting. The only, the only Snow White. Just horrible, horrible casting by the casting director. I mean, yeah, and here it is. I mean, this guy Adam really loves to show. I mean, they have to in Israel. They have to join their military force. It's just, I mean, well, I'm not even going to get into that as far as different countries and what they make kids do as far as in the defense of their country. But should ask what Iran did in the 80s when they had kids and older people run across minefields to clear the mines so their tanks could get through in the Iraq-Iran war. I mean, Jesus. Um, but yeah, so I mean, started with Dinklage. He needs to take some credit for it. But I mean, it just started with Dinklage, and then she really killed. I mean, she torpedoed the project right here. And they could have recast, but they didn't. They stayed with her. And I mean, it is what it is. And some people saying not casting Lady Gaga, but even still, I mean, Lady Gaga, whatever her real name is, she's not a bad looking woman. I mean, that would have been hard to pull off too. And it's hard to say cast somebody to be jealous of somebody's looks because you're trying to say that they're ugly. And you don't want to say that an actress is ugly because that's just not good. So here's some of what the different headlines were. You had lazy and visually repellent, excuse me, by the Independent, exhaustingly awful by the Guardian. Disney has trashed its reputation by the Times, but which Times is that? A strange hot mess, the Huffington Post. Listless, Screen Daily, Good Enough for TV, Vanity Fair, and the film has a major identity crisis by the BBC. So, I mean, man, it's something in the next, especially 10 years, that studios and actors and actresses are going to have to figure out as far as how much of their public persona, um, oh, I hit the wrong, my bad, hit the wrong button, how much their public persona is going to be shared. Um, so we are living in a society, in a world now where, I mean, you really don't, and I don't want to say secrets, but you really don't have a private life. Now, you can choose to have one, but at some point, I mean, if not by you, somebody else is going to share or get out information that you may not want out there. That's just unfortunately where we are in today's society. But studios and the actors and actresses are really going to have to determine how much they want to share in society to stay relevant, and how many of them should just be quiet. And it's one of those things. If you look at older actors and actresses, from like when I was a kid, from the 80s and 90s, the only time you see them really using social media is just to promote a movie, promote a benefit, or if they're doing something like making somebody's day, making them happy, like a charity event or whatever. But they don't get involved that often in political or their personal stuff, or letting too much out there. Whereas this acting generation from the past 10 or 15 years have to be on social media and explain how they feel or what they're expecting. Like even with the politicians these days too, are just they're on there 24/7, and it's just too much, man. It's an overload. I don't need to know how to vote. I don't need to know how to live. I don't need to know how to treat people. I don't need to know how to drive. I don't need to know why you feel this storyline should be changed, why this actor should be this or that. It's just make the damn movie. If it's good, we'll enjoy it. If it's not, we won't. But give your own movie a shot. Give your own acting career a chance, instead of just completely blowing it up before it takes off. Um, but hey, I mean, I know there's a lot of people saying that Disney is uh is taking hits, dude. Disney makes so much more money from their theme parks and sales with merchandise, that I mean, I'm not saying that it helps to have a movie do that bad, but at the same time, Disney will be fine. You know, Disney will be fine. On that note, we're gonna call it. Hey, like and subscribe. I always forget to say that because I just get to talking. I'm not used to doing it because I'm dumb. So we got that on me. Use that on me. But hey, try to keep your head up and find that good earth and dig it, and get the hell outside more and stay off of social media. Enjoy this world for the amount of time you're on here, all right? All right. Take it easy.